Okay. Hello, people out on YouTube. Anyway, we're talking about getting the Adobe Creative Cloud account to work. You know, a number of the students have and a few have not, and a few brilliant students have not. So I don't think they're making mistakes. I don't know what it is. But what I want to say very clearly is we are going to use some photos today, right? But we don't need Photoshop yet. I've prepared them and we're learning the code. But on Tuesday, I wanted to start moving into Photoshop, and by Thursday, even deeper into Photoshop is my plan. Luckily, I'm videotaping every class, doing my best. It's been going okay so far, by and large, so that if there's a delay and we can't get things running by Tuesday, the information's still going to be available in the YouTube videos. That's really all I've got, right now. I will say this, right? I am extending deadlines for anybody who needs extended deadlines. These are strange times and we need, support, all of us, including myself. Sorry, I'm just making. So no one has to worry that, oh my God, I won't get the deadline because I can't get this to work. Well, that won't happen. Also, there's not a lot of homework. So even if you get set back, the pile isn't going to be huge at any point. The only thing that I don't like is I don't want people forgetting stuff. It's always best to do something when it's fresh. So that's going to drive me nuts. So look, where we're at right now, we have to put that particular subject on pause while I do more research and talk to more people and see what's up, And I just can I ask you another quick one though. Do you mind telling me what your major is?
My major? VAT.
VAT. So, again, like someone who's a video artist, at some point is going to have to decide whether they want Creative Cloud for themselves. I'm not saying you should get it now.
I was debating that yesterday, but I wish I could take it for like 3 months, because then after this semester I'm trying to get an internship at somewhere they could give me access for free. So I don't want to pay
Right.
a whole year if I can access it
Understand.
for free later.
I know it's $17 a month, I think, but you have a year contract.
Yeah.
So it winds up being around $200.
If it was not a year contract, I would do it. I would not hesitate. But now I'm like,
I understand that. And the truth of it is, as a video person, Premiere is one of the top programs, but there's 3 at least. So you don't know for sure you're going to use it.
Exactly.
Most of those people want to have Photoshop also, because it's a big part of video. So they get Creative Cloud for that reason. But again, folks, listen, again, on behalf of fate and school and everything, I feel it. I'm not ignoring any of this. Right now, I don't have a solution except for trying to time things as we figure it out. Folks, this is going to get a little bit thicker, right? And I am going to promise to try to get to the material so at least those who are ready could do it with me. Those who are not, for any reason, will know it's on video, right? So I have to satisfy you present and some of you in the near future, right? But I have to go over the handout for a number of things, and we're going to try to keep this ship together while I do that. So let me share my screen with you, and get to today's handout. So some of you might have noticed that when you saw today's handout, there was a couple of new things. So right beneath it was a star, an asterisk, that says Class 5 assets. We are going to need those assets for today. So I want to point out, you could get it from here. There's the same link on the actual handout you could click. It just says get today's assets. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now, right? Now I do have to say something. I'm on a Mac. I know Mac best. So if you're on Windows, it's going to take a little bit of effort. There'll be a few people on Chrome. If not today, soon enough, this may take some more effort, and I'm willing to make changes. Assets are photos, parts, things I need to share with you. And there's other ways I could do it if this doesn't work. I've been using this method for years though. So I'm going to click it. Notice an arrow showed up in the lower left corner of Chrome, and it's showing me it just went to downloads. The person needs to know how to get to downloads on your type of computer next. So I'm going to open up downloads from down here. There's a little arrow at the bottom of my screen. I'm going to say show in Finder. However you get there is fine. Now, one thing I got to do, because I'm the doorman, is I got to go check and see if there's anybody waiting. really drives me nuts. Hang on one second. I want to forget this. Someone wanted to know the name of the other program. Brackets is great. I'm sending it as a chat to everyone who wants to look up Brackets. It's free. All right. I want to just check one more thing. Okay, those of you who are late, I'm not pointing at you. Well, I guess I am. Life happens. If you've never been late, ignore me. If you're late chronically, I'm going to stop opening the door at like 10 after 1. I can't keep looking for people who are late. The technology's harassing us, but really, it's not a revolving door. Class starts on time. Now and then you're late, I understand, but you got to work with me. It's going to make the class better if you come on time. All right. You already missed something important, and I'm really hesitant to keep repeating myself. On ironworks.com, you're going to see new elements showing up. If a class has underneath it a star that says Class 5 assets, it means they're parts that you need for that day. So I'm going to click it. In Chrome, I saw a little arrow and it went right to downloads. If you're using a different browser, it's on you. It probably went to downloads. So you got to find your way into downloads. On a Mac, an easy way is to click this little arrow way at the bottom here. It's a tiny arrow, and say Show in Finder. I'm in downloads now. Next, this is a .zip. A .zip is a compressed folder made on a Mac. Now, I want you to hear me out on this. I can't do this any other way. The folder has to be compressed to be able to deliver it. Now, a .zip has to be unzipped. Some of you might have heard of .rar. It's the same as .zip. It's compressed. So you have to double click it on a Mac. On Windows, I prefer to control click and a menu shows up. You should choose extract. It's a little more reliable on some Windows. So you either on Windows, control click and choose extract. It'll show up on your menu. I'm on a Mac, so I double click it. This is the actual folder. I have to admit, through no fault of ours, I utterly dread this. Because I know everybody in here is on a slightly different computer. I can't find downloads. I couldn't unzip the zip. But I've been doing this for years. And every Mac student and every Windows student has been able to figure this out at some point. The zips will work on either computer. Uh-oh. My fire alarm just went off. Can you wait a second? How strange, but I can't ignore a fire alarm. I'm still alive. There's no fire. I don't think anyone's going to forget 2020. It's like someone wrote this script. I don't know who wrote this script. Seriously, Charlie Kaufman, I think, wrote 2020. If anyone knows the writer, that was steam coming from a bathtub that triggered my alarm right there. Okay, back to it. So about the zips, right? I got other things up my sleeve if this proves difficult in this very strange year. But what I'd like to know is, was anyone not able to find and unzip it? Because I'm going to assume you're okay unless you tell me otherwise somehow. All right, that's a little bit of good news, which we needed.
When I downloaded it,
Yes.
it didn't come as a zip file. It came single. It didn't come compressed together when I downloaded it.
It came as one whole folder?
No, like it came separate, like single. It didn't come like how you have your zip. It didn't come like that when I went to my downloads.
You know what? I'm going to need for you to screen share with me, okay? So I can get a look at it. So I'm stopping my share.
And Don's family doesn't believe.
Can you turn on your screen share? Click that green button at the bottom. It's going to give you a few choices. Please choose screen. And then I'd like you to show me your downloads so I could, because this may happen to other people also. You know, guys, I know sometimes we have roommates and they won't turn off the TV, or parents or siblings, so I really don't blame anybody if that's the situation.
I'm on the class on my phone, so I'm gonna have to go to the meeting on my computer.
Okay, this will only work on a computer.
No, like I'm using my phone to listen to what you're saying. Yeah, but like I'm using my Mac to do like what you're saying.
Honey, whoever is watching the TV, are they willing to turn it off? Can you pay them off? Buy them a beer or a slice of pizza or something?
My teacher wants to know if you guys want.
Okay. It sounds. So look, Remy, I see you juggling stuff. I respect that, really, but I'm going to need to see it somehow because I can't guess. So if there's no way to show it to me, maybe you could take a screenshot later of what it looks like and send it to me in an email. But for right now, we're kind of stuck without me being able to see it.
Okay, I'll just send it later.
Gotcha. Because like I said, it's a zip. It's one file. I don't see any way it could have opened. It could have transferred anything else but that. And then once you double click it, there's a folder. And we're going to open that folder. There's a bunch of things in that folder, but I want to say something about the folder. All right, back to professional habits. You're working, you're making a website or any art form that involves a team, and someone sends you parts. We call the parts assets. So this is Class 5 assets. You never leave stuff in downloads. I want to be very clear that downloads is like a mailbox. You get your stuff, and then you take it to the correct room. You put it in the right folder, or you put it in the right place, but you don't work in downloads. So I'm going to ask you to get that unzipped folder to your desktop for today. So I'm going to take it, and I'm dragging it over this icon on the left that says desktop. That's my sidebar. And now I can go to the desktop and find it. I'm going to open it. Holy cow, what's happening? I just want to teach. Okay, did everybody move that folder? Now, guys, got to tell you something. This is going to be very repetitive. If you got it down.
Are you sharing your screen now?
Am I not? That one's on me. Hang on a second there. I guess I turned it off so you could share it earlier and I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right, folks. Look, the only reason I'm spending this much time on it is most of the semester I have parts. Right? The first 4 classes I don't, but after that, almost every class, right? So I've got to make sure we get this down. All right, I want to show you guys something. Let me do something to clean this up. I'm going to make this easier. I'm on the website, and I'm going to Class 5 assets. Or I'm on the actual handout, and I'm going to click this link, which is the same thing, download today's assets. Either way, something just downloaded to downloads. So depending on the computer, you have to find your way there. I click in this arrow, and I'm going to say Show in Finder, which is a Mac way. Just show me where you put it. I know it's in downloads. So here I am, I'm in downloads. and I'm going to unzip it. I'm going to uncompress it. I double click on a Mac, and that'll often work on Windows. I've had more luck right clicking on Windows and choosing extract. It's up to you. And if you're Windows master, you could do it your own way. I'm going to double click it because what I wanted really is the folder. Now, the only thing that I just said now is I don't want people working in downloads because it's a very bad habit. That's just where you get stuff and delete later. So I'm going to move this to my desktop. I could drag it here. I could find some desktop and just drag it over to the desktop myself. Boom, you know, way over there. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it from here out of downloads, and I'm dropping on this thing that says desktop. So I could forget the downloads one. I could delete that. I'm going to the desktop to find the folder, and I'm going to open it. I wish I could support everyone in the room for every detail on your computers, but if this hasn't worked so far, you have to do your best to find a way to communicate it with me. It might require screenshots. I want to show you something. This is a drummer, and you notice that it's a black and white photo, followed by a guitar player, also black and white photo, followed by a microphone, also black and white photo, and they're all JPEGs. The other thing about these that I'd like to mention to you is they're all the same size. They're 400 by 400 pixels, all three of them. And we're going to learn more about how to check that kind of thing out and why it even matters. For anyone who's on a Mac right now, I am doing Command I, which means get info. And I'm looking for dimensions, 400 by 400. It's always in pixels. If I was on Windows, I would probably right click and choose properties to get that same information. So the thing about these is they're 400 pixel squares. Now, what typically happens, and soon you find a photo or take the photo. If you want them black and white, you do it in Photoshop. But then when you're ready, you have to figure out the size you need for the website. So we're going to move from web design text to including photos, right? And then we're going to move all out into photos, all out photography. But the bridge here is photos for the web. So I need Photoshop to size them. Now those were pre-sized, so we don't need Photoshop today, right? I just want you to have those ready for a little later on. Now I got to get the other tech stuff out of the way because people have other issues that I need to address. I'm going to try to be succinct, and again, may not be entirely satisfying until we figure out lots of bumps. All right, so for those of you who haven't visited, just know that the videos are on this link and they're going to stay there all semester. It's a playlist for our class alone. So far, 1, 2, and 4. I skipped class 3, which was review, but class 1, 2, and 4 are all on tape, so to speak. They're all on YouTube at this link. So you can go there anytime you want. And there it is. They're all listed in backwards order, right? So you could watch it whenever you need it. Now I'm pretty glad I've been doing that. It looks like we will need it. That's it for YouTube. We all know how to get to class. So I'm going to ignore that. Notice the new element that you just did, download. Will always be on the web page like you saw under the little menu right under the handout. But I'm going to include it here on the handouts also for a little while just to make it easier. So look, we know that there's big computer issues with the class. I have a number of people who are waiting this particular class for Chromebooks. I want to know, did anyone who is waiting for a Chromebook receive it? Is anyone waiting currently and wondering, you know, what happened? So listen, if you asked for a Chromebook and have not heard back, please write me, right? I don't ignore those emails, by the way. I write right away to the next person up, right? But maybe they give appointments, by the way, to pick up the Chromebooks. So if your appointment hasn't come yet, or you have an appointment but the date hasn't come, we'll just wait. We'll just do our best, right? If there are no individual issues, I'm moving forward. Otherwise, email me so at least I could advocate. All right, so I want to move on to the next issue. We got 2 issues that we're juggling, and I'd like you guys to try to let me borrow your mind for a minute, right? It's all about us getting the software. Some of it is Adobe, and some is not. All the stuff that I'm using this semester that isn't Adobe is free. So we don't have to worry a hell of a lot about Sublime. Unless Sublime's not behaving, I recommended Brackets, which I love also. We're set. And we get to audio, we're going to use a free program, we're also set, right? But here's where it gets a little complicated, and I'm forced to divide the topic, Mac and Windows and Chromebook. In reverse order for a minute, Chromebook people, we're going to have to get remote access to work for you. The only way to get any of the software for the Chromebook is to use remote access to get into the school's lab from home, like magic. Once you're in the school's lab, you pick a computer, almost like you walked in the room. It's kind of strange, right? For that time, you're using that computer at home. That desktop shows up in your browser. It's very odd. And you could do all kinds of things with it. Really cool. You can get Sublime. You could get Photoshop. Now here's where the problem is going to start. Adobe is giving the rest of us free access, right? Supposedly, for a few weeks. But if we can't get it to work for everyone, or they don't extend the date, we're all going to use remote access. Mac and Windows people included. So Chromebook people, they go first. They're going to remote access for everything. Mac and Windows people, we don't need it until the Adobe offer expires, or if it just won't behave, right? So I want to try to take this steps at a time, and this is what I'm going to have to say. If you're on a Chromebook already, let me start with you for a minute. You're going to have to follow these first set of instructions here. You click it on your own after class and do your best. If things don't go wrong, I've asked you to take notes about what went wrong so I can get it fixed. This is brand new rocket science that we're using here. This is not ordinary day-to-day life, right? So again, if you're already on a Chromebook, go here. By the way, if you just can't wait, you know, you're sick of trying to fight with your Adobe account, you could try this also. Oh, actually, tell you the truth, I take that back. Apologies. Too much for me to track also. So I write it all down. So Chromebook people, remote access. I would like to say something though. When you go to remote access for any reason, right, you still have to be able to log into the Adobe account. I'm still not used to that because that's fairly recent. Why, I really don't know. So we still have to get that account to work somehow. See, in the classroom, I would cheat. I'll walk over to your computer, log myself in for a little while, you know, but I can't do that now, right? So remote access for most of us, we're not going to need till around September 30th. And if Adobe extends their offer, which there's a good chance they will, you're not going to need it ever. We could skip remote access except for the Chromebooks. Chromebook people, please try it as soon as possible. Follow those instructions, get back to me, let me know if it worked, right? Everybody else, we're going to put it off, right? At least while we're trying to get Adobe to do its thing and to do it for free. So here I broke down what I just said. Mac people can only need to read this. Chromebook people really only need to read this. Today, it's all about Sublime, so don't worry about it if you can get into Sublime or even into Brackets. Look, I want to just add this troubleshooting section for the Adobe account. You know, Anne tried these things and more, and unfortunately it didn't work. So I'm a little disappointed, right? It's just telling you to double check every detail of the links that are above. This is not 5A, I apologize for that. Just these links, they're both the same, right? Use the CUNY first login, not the BMCC info, right? And it may help to erase your browser cache. It has helped some people, didn't help everyone. So what I'm trying to do, and this is the last thing I could say about the Adobe question, is I'm asking the people I trust to compile a list of every fix that they find. You know, because there's clearly more than one issue, and to write a list, troubleshooting it, and then I'm going to give it to you. So this is what I'm trying to achieve right now. If all else fails, we're all going to try remote access, right? Okay. I wish I could answer more of your questions, but I would like you to ask anyway, you know, because maybe I do have an answer. Does anybody have any questions about this related to technology or any of the issues, technical issues we're having? Don't feel bad, right?
Professor, I don't have a question, but
Yeah.
I don't know if this still counts, but like last month, I kind of had a similar issue when I was trying to like get it to like continue like practicing like my editing skills for my class, and the tech department, they was telling me that the deadline to activate your account was July 6th. So if you didn't activate it by then it's not then you won't be able to get like the free version. I don't know if that still counts. Maybe that could be the reason why people.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm writing that down. I don't think that's it though, because Adobe extended the offer again for a new semester, meaning even to freshmen who are brand new this semester. So I am getting the feeling that it's going to be something to do with deleting its memory of old accounts. I don't want to stick my neck out because I don't really know exactly how to achieve that or if it'll backfire. But that's one of the things that I'm following up on. So it thinks you're a brand new student completely and starting over. Remy, thanks for mentioning that, because I am going to include that in my investigations with, I'm starting with Chris Stein, who's technically masterful and the head of the department. So, you know, he's the one who's trying to juggle all this very challenging material. All right, folks, I do have to move forward. Remember, in a sense, I'm not just doing it for those of you who are prepared. I'm doing this for everybody, for whenever you're ready, because the videos are going to stay there all semester. So you're going to want to make sure that the material is actually delivered. But I got to move forward at this stage, right? All right, so that's it, right, for the tech stuff. I really do hope within the next week we could overcome all the issues that we have and move forward, but we'll find out step by step. So I want to do some HTML with you. We've got 1 hour left, and here's what my goal, it's fine. You know, it's a difficult time, but we got enough. I want to go over some stuff, but I'm going to do it real fast today, because stuff that we've done twice before. My goals are twofold, though. I want to pay more attention to the CSS, because we only did that once before on Class 4, right? So we're going to do a proper review of the CSS part today, and I want to add photos for the first time. So that's our goal. So what I'm going to ask you to do is this. You know how I've been making a big deal of you preparing a folder for every class? Now, I want to repeat something about it. We could use the folder you just moved from downloads as today's folder. That's fine if you want to do that, right? But you cannot have two folders for today's work, right? It's got to be one folder, right? So if you unzipped the assets, I want to show you the way I usually use it, and I recommend that you do it the same way. All right, so I want to show you something. Get all this stuff out of the way. Lots of code back there. So I'm going to find on my sloppy desktop Class 5 assets, which is
Professor Ira, you accidentally muted yourself.
what? Hello. Thank you. That was just a wild click. All right. I want you to find the folder that you unzipped, however you do it, and open it. Know where it is. Mine is on the desktop. I'm going to use this as today's folder. So please have it open and where you can find it. That's the main idea. All right. Next, I want you to open Sublime. If anybody did go right ahead and get themselves brackets, that's fine too. They're all the same for the most part. So I'm going to ask you to find Sublime or brackets and open it. We're going to make a very, very fast website of just 2 pages today. So this is going to be quick. You could see it as practice. If you happen to have this memorized, you're very impressive. Then you could go move forward without me. So remember, it always starts this way. The foundation of a web page. Then we complete a little head section, and then the larger body section. I'm going to come in and do the head section. Oops. So here's my head section, and I'm going to add 2 things to it. But today we're going to start, as we always do, with the title, which is required, right? And I'm going to just call it Photos. I'm going to call it Photos Plus. And I'm going to close up the title tag. So that's the only place the title tag will ever work. And remember, it puts the text on the tabs of your website. Soon we're going to add a line underneath it. Right now, though, I want to jump over the closing head tag to create the whole body section. And we're going to close the tags as we go. So here's my body section down here. It's currently only 4 lines. It's going to get bigger and bigger, though, because most of the work's going to take place in here. Now, I always test it. There's not enough to be able to test. So I'm going to put one little headline in the body section. And I'm going to call it Styles. Style, how about that? Style and Photos. I'm going to close up that H1. Because if I don't, the whole page is going to look like a headline. Big, bold text. That's enough to test. But before we even go anywhere, make sure these are all lowercase letters in the code. This is not code. That's English. This is also English. But everything else, lowercase letters. Now, to be able to test it, we have to save it to the same folder where the other parts are going to live. So we already have stuff in there. Let's save it now. File menu, save. This is going to be our home page. So it has to be called index.html. There's only one index page per folder, and you can't make up names like index 2 or index X, just index.html. Now you notice it's going to save to the wrong folder if I don't make a change. And that folder already has an index page. That's the home page for our website online. I better not mess with it or I'm going to break it. So before I do any saving, I write the name, index.html, and then I go find today's folder. Now, I have to pick up the pace because of all the distractions we've been sharing. So you have to be able to get around this on your own. If you're on a Mac and your folder's on the desktop, you click here, find your folder, and double-click it. On both kinds of computers, you want to see the name of the open folder here. I want to mention, if you didn't take it out of downloads, I don't like that, but you could go to downloads and find your folder in here. Not a good idea, but it would work. So let me do this properly. I'm going to desktop from the sidebar, and I'm opening today's folder, the one with the photos in it. And I'm going to click Save. It says there's already something in there. You know what? We don't need that one. I've changed my mind about it. So let's just click Replace. If your folder's nearby, you should take a peek. In it is the new index page, because we told it to replace the one that came with our zip, because we don't really need it. And it's sitting there next to the photos. All right, let's test it out. So we've got 3 things open: the browser, the folder, and the text editor. Let's go to the browser and open a tab and drag index in there. Now, I've been doing this a long time, but I make mistakes. I'm checking to see, did my title tag work? Yeah, it says Photos Plus up there. Did my H1 work? Good, it worked. I'm going to take the code out so you can troubleshoot if your code is not working. I'm going to leave that out where you could see it. If yours is not working, because we're a little short for time right now, I'm going to ask you to be brave and go line by line and compare them to mine, right? Line by line. Hey guys, can I say something? Is there evidence that I'm still recording on your screen? Thank you, because that symbol has disappeared from my screen. Thank you. All right. So there's the basic code. Let's add a paragraph real quickly. So the P tag, we've been using the Latin LOREM, but you could always make stuff up. The only problem with that is I like more than one sentence, because it will affect how much you learn about layout. So you don't really need lorem ipsum, but you do need a bunch of text. If you feel like you don't have enough text yet, copy and paste some of it, whether it's Latin or not. But the big thing is, close your P tag at the end. Every paragraph has got to be closed. So I'm going to go right at the end, and I'm going to close the P tag. Save it, go back to the browser, and refresh it. Now I'm going to keep this simple today, but one thing I know in advance is I'm going to need a lot more text than that, and I'm going to need more than one paragraph. So what I'm going to ask you to do is click inside your paragraph. That's before the P tag, and figure out how to make it longer. You could copy a whole bunch of it, Command C, click inside again, and Command V to paste. I want a really long one. That's better. Now, there's one more thing I'm going to ask of you. I want a second paragraph. And since we spent a lot of time on other things, the best way to do it would be to highlight the whole paragraph you have, including the P tag and the closing P, copy it, and paste it underneath this paragraph. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this whole paragraph with the P tag and the closing P tag, and I'm going to copy it. Command C. I'm going to go down one line and paste it. Command V. You could always use the edit menu if you prefer. Once you have it, save, refresh, and I want to point something out. Do you see that line between the two paragraphs? The only reason it's doing that is because you closed the first one. It knew it was done. It automatically makes a space underneath itself. So we don't indent, we don't do anything fancy. It automatically does this for us. All right, I want to make let me just see. I want to make one link today just to keep that fresh, then do some style, then add a photo. All right, so about the link, let's break this up. Let's come inside, and I want you to find your body tag and make a line of space underneath it. We've been putting our links right up against the ceiling, and this is the way we've been doing it, by making it first thing after the body tag. So I'm going to make the first one home, and I'm just going to call the second one photos for today. I would have made a styles page too, but I want to keep it short. So as you may recall, it's proven easiest to activate our links, to write the code for our links, if they're on two lines. Basically, each one gets its own line. So there's room on the left and the right. If you should happen to remember this already, right, you could start that code. If not, just join me. We did it a couple times. I do believe this is the fourth or fifth time. So I know you're all comfortable with it, even if it isn't memorized. So do both the links. I I want to say a couple quick things about those links. I'm just making it easy for people to find. I always write it this way so that everyone gets used to the essentials. Like when you make a mistake, this is a common one. You know, just forget that angle bracket. So if you get used to this on the left side, just used to it, it's always the same, you'll be happier. Next link, they're all the same. The right side's also even easier. It always looks like that. Now I do want to add something that I haven't mentioned. You know, if you got a great memory, that's great. I wish I did. But I don't teach depending on your memory. In other words, I depend on your understanding. Like, I don't mind if you're like, oh man, I forgot how to do a link. So let me search HTML link. Because you'll know what it means when you find it. That means you learned in my class. I don't even care if you look at my own handout. Have a cheat sheet. People print my handouts out and they put them in their back pocket at job interviews. You know, it's all right. It's understanding that you're going to be paid for, not memorizing. All right, in any case, let's finish these off. This one always looks like this. Because the home page is always called index.html. Right? That's the page in your folder. You know, it's also the page we're working on. So it's got to be written exactly right. The next link is a page we have not made yet. Now, I always name my pages in the most obvious way. This way I won't get lost. This is what I would call that page. Again, lowercase letters. So you don't have to remember, did I use a capital? It will break the link if you get that wrong. So I just stick all the actual page names, these are going to be lowercase. Let's save it and get a look. Save it, refresh it. This looks right. Now I know if I click photos, my file's not found, I didn't make the page yet. I'll click the back button. This is what you should have so far. So I want one more page, and it's going to be photos.html. I want to start by stealing this whole page and pasting it in a new empty document. So let's go there. I want you to get back here and highlight the whole page. My favorite way is Command A or Control A, but I could also do it like this. Selection menu, select all. Command A is a popular shortcut and Control A, but this is good too. Next, I want you to copy it. You know I like Command C, but I could do it from the menu. As long as you remember that copying means copy to memory, we have to open a new document to paste it. Now guys, I want to be very clear. Every now and then I get a student who keeps pasting over the same page. You know, they don't get that each page is a separate document. So we want to be very neat. All right, back here, we're ready for the new document. You copied this borrowed text to memory. Now we do File menu, New File in Sublime. For us, that's a new page. And if we had 10 pages, we would keep going. But I like doing them one at a time. We got the home page. Here's the new one. Can you paste Command V, Control V, or Edit menu, paste? There's the shortcut as a reminder. So since we met, I've been asking you to change headlines. This page is about photos. So I'm going to change the headline to Photos, Then and Now. All right, I'm not making big changes on this page today. I'm going to keep it simple. I'd like for everybody to save this page. We are creating this. So we need to save it by that name and into the folder you're currently using for today. So File menu, Save, or Command S. With some luck, it's looking at today's folder already. So you're just going to add the new page, photos.html. So I got two tabs. This one's photos HTML. This is index HTML. If I was going to add new pages, I'd add all the links, say 2 more pages here. I'd add them here, and then make sure the new pages had all 4, right? But it's just a 2-page website. So I'm checking my home page, looks good. It's got its 2 links. My photos page is good. All right, let's go back to the browser and see if your pages are working. We're checking the links mostly. So I'm coming inside, click photos. All right, there's the new page. And it would have all the new text and new photographs naturally, and maybe other cool stuff. A form to fill out, like a shopping cart. All right. Now this is what I want to do. I want to get busy with the styles and then squeeze in a photo just to get us started, or 2, right? We do have to go over styles because we only did it once before. I want to repeat something from the other day. Class 4 had the first homework assignment, and it was given on Tuesday, and I always give you a week. So it's due coming Tuesday, right? Doesn't involve any fancy software, either Sublime or Brackets. That's it. It's due on Tuesday, right? And it does include style. So here's the review. What we're going to do is go to our index page here and here. So you want to make sure you're looking at the actual home page in the browser, style and photos, as well as here in the code index. They match. Now what we're going to do is we'll always use the home page when we're adding something new to test it. And then if it works, and you want it on the rest of the website, we copy and paste like crazy. So right now we're talking about styling just the home page first. Join me in the head section. So the head section has the job of connecting your styles to a page. So we're going to connect the home page right here in the head section. If it works, we're going to copy what we did to the next page. Right now, join me on Faith. So while you're typing, I'm going to say a few things about my line 4. Again, it has to go before closing head, right? It's in the head section, so it's between here and here. 2, it always looks exactly the same, except for this part, what's going to go in here. So the good news is, once you get it, it's perfectly okay to keep one around and copy and paste it. Who's going to memorize this stuff? I copy and paste over half of what I do. The other half's creative. So link space, REL equals style sheet. This just announces it's a style sheet. Type equals text/CSS announces pretty much the same thing. It's just giving more stuff to the browser, letting it know style is coming, right? Using CSS. The only thing that changes is this, and the reason that changes is you could name your styles however you want. I'm going to call this one photo. I'm going to call it, you know what? No, I think I'm just going to call it this. Oops. Today style.css. I just want to mention what the rules are. Avoid capital letters. Never use a space. So this is wrong. Don't use anything fancy. This is very wrong. You are allowed to use dashes or underscores, but I'm going to keep it simple. Now, we just have to remember that name, right? We're going to save this page and then make that style sheet before we know if it even works. If it works, we're going to copy that one sentence, that one line through the website. today style. All right, can you please be sure to save this one? That gray dot means I haven't saved it while I made those changes, so I better save it again. They're both saved. All right, so the style sheet is a special kind of page where in Sublime or brackets, you do File menu, New. So here we go, File menu, New File. I'm just going to drag this one over. So this page starts with your biggest tags first. So we styled body the other day because it had a lot of mileage. It did a lot. Then we went to the next tags, H1, H2 if you have them, P tag. You'll learn all kinds of tags and they could all be styled. Let's start with the body tag for testing. So on your brand new page, just simply write body with the curly brackets. I want to mention, why does this look so different than HTML? Because it isn't HTML. It's actually a child of JavaScript. That's kind of interesting. JavaScript, the language, actually Java was the grandparent, gave birth to all these different programs, all these useful technologies. So CSS is a styling tool that's sort of a marriage of JavaScript and HTML. And it uses a lot of curly brackets. We started with margin the other day, and I'd like to do that again. And I'm making a very big margin. This is only 3 lines, so you want to be very careful that they're correct. And then we're going to save it with the only name that's going to work, which I already forgot. Todaystyle.css. Okay. When you're ready to save it, let's do just that. File menu, save. Never save when it looks like that. All right. Todaystyle.css. And it's in the right folder, so I'm going to click save. The colors have changed, but the real test is going to be, what does the home page look like? If you're on your home page, you can go ahead and refresh it. Now, if it didn't work, are you on your photos page? Please go to the home page. If you tested that and it still doesn't work, were you already there? If you were already there, you had to click refresh. Here's one more thing to look at. Remember that we asked for it to connect to a style sheet by this name. So if you spelled it wrong when you actually made the style sheet, it would break. You could look at your style sheet and change the code here if you wrote it wrong. So if they don't match, fix it here and save again. How are your style sheets? Are they working? So look, I want to do a little bit more styling today, but I want to save enough time for photos. So let's do some stuff. I do want a little bit of hex code involved. So you might remember the other day, we went to W3 Schools, which had this cool color picker, right? Let's do that again. So I'd like you to go back to your browser, open a new tab, and we're going to type W3S color picker. It's a very common search. W3S just means the website called W3 Schools color picker, and hit return. I'm leaving it there just to make sure everybody gets a good look at it. And then hit return. It'll take you to this link. This is the link you want. By the way, I know some of you are loving this. At least one person's already asked for more work. You might want to save the shortcut to this. You're going to use it a lot if you want. You know, we're going to be coming here a lot. Web designers use it a lot. Anyway, I'm going to widen this up. You could do it either way you like. So if yours is narrow, you'll just scroll down to find the other features. Mine's going to be wide. All right, I'd like you to pick a color. Remember, we're using this as a background color. This color here won't look too good with white text, so I'm going to get a little darker and see if that works better. This is easy to read for both black and white. I like it. This is going to be the background, remember. But if I don't like that, I think maybe one of these is better. This is just lighter and darker versions, so I could try a couple. Once you've found the one you want, you're going to need the hex code. So this is the name of a color. Hex code always has 6 characters. That means numbers or letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could you highlight yours or memorize it? And Command C. Let's go add this color to our style sheet. Now, if you got lost along the way, don't worry. Just join me right here. Back to your code. Still in the body tag part. Let's go down a line. And it looks like this. Sublime and other similar programs takes guesses when you start to write code and lets you just pick one from the lists that show up. I often use my arrow key when it gives me choices like that. Or you just handwrite it. The pound sign is very important, and the name of your color in hex. Save it. We might need more colors, so I'm not going to interrupt this tab over here. I'm going to go back to the one from my page and refresh it. Cool. I think I want to show you 2 things just to get a taste of. All right?
Professor, mine's not working.
Oh, really? So,
Yeah.
did the margins work?
No.
They didn't work. So let's take a look. Do you want to screen share with me?
Sure.
All right, let me stop my screen sharing. Click the green share screen button. It'll give you a few choices. Please choose the one that says screen.
Gotcha.
Now, what I'd like to see first is the code for your home page.
Right here.
Let me move something. And it says link rel equals style sheet, type equals text / CSS, href. Could you make that window a little wider? I just want to make sure that that href is not doing, doesn't have a strange problem. All right, href equals today's style. That looks perfectly right. Okay, and I can see from your tabs that today's style is already named correctly. It matches perfectly. Today's style. Could you show me the style sheet? Margin colon 100 pixels. That looks correct. Background dash color colon. You got your hex code with a semicolon. That also looks correct. Can I see your folder?
Okay.
All right. Now, I want to ask you something. This is a very Windowsy type of question, something I'm just not used to. You know, it really bugs me that we can't see .html or .css. Is there any chance that, you know, by the way, when there's time, I have notes I wrote to myself about how to turn that feature on. I see what you're saying. It says cascading style sheet in there. So that's got to be correct. Can you drag that back over to the left? I mean, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't get it. Everything looks right.
And you are looking at the index page in your browser, right? We're definitely on the index page.
Yeah,
Right.
home
I
page.
can see the path up here. Interesting. Let me see your code one more time.
For the home page?
No, the style sheet. So you're saying the margin never worked.
Nope.
And you hand typed all this? These few
Yeah.
lines, these 4 lines? Yeah, let me see the home page one more time then. I found it. Could everybody look at rel equals? Does anyone see it?
Style sheet?
That's right. You wrote styles sheet.
Oh,
Save that. Let's all get the pleasure of seeing this work. Go back to the browser and refresh it.
there we go.
All right.
All right.
Right. So look, yeah, if you could just stop the screen sharing, I'm going to screen share again. You know, guys, that was a weird one, right? We were all staring at it. You know, it's funny how you really got to take a breath with this stuff and look at every single character. But anyway, that's never happening to you again. So I'm going to screen share it. Okay. All right. So we've got some color. I want to add something that I haven't shown you yet. And I want to put a frame around this. The other day, we gave styles and photos its own background color, right? Which was fun. Right now, I want to start by giving it what's called a border, right? So in your style sheet, I want you to write H1. So anything we want to do to the H1s on this website is going to respond to this. I could change the color, the font, the size of it, the border. So join me on this. Now the first time, I'm just going to write it out, and then we're going to take a look together and break it down. So we have not done 3 properties in a row before. Now I want to make sure this works, and then I want to explain a couple quick things. So when you're ready, save it, go back to the browser and refresh it. I want to add one more thing because it looks funny being that wide. I'm going to change the width of my headline. So that's not the text, it's the box. The headline is seen as a box. So I'm going to save it. Take a quick look. That looks a little bit better. I'm going to add one more thing. Now these are all options, right? They don't always go together. I wanted a border, and then I realized I wanted it to be less wide. So I added width. I'm about to add this padding here, and I'm going to save right here. And I want to remind you what padding is. That S is touching the border, and so is the Y. I don't like it. So I padded it. I asked for 24 pixels on all 4 sides. This side already had plenty of room, so it had no effect, but it did on the bottom and on the left. So width we did before, and padding we did before, but we didn't do border. So I want to do a couple quick things with you, right? I'd like for you to quickly, if you have your color picker out, go there and pick a color for your border. If you don't have a color picker out, use my color in that case. It's always superior to use Hex Code because it's got millions of colors. So it's a much wider variety of colors. I'm going to save it and get a look back in the browser to see how that looks. Better. What else can we do with this new property? Well, we could change the width of it. So if you buy a picture frame, you can get skinny ones, or you can get thick ones. So here would be a rather large picture frame, 32 pixels wide. I'm going to save this, go back and refresh the browser, and that is really a bit much. So you pick a number that you think might work based on what you just saw. I just cut it by half, I'm curious. And it's a very personal thing, there's no rules. But don't get too small, keep it over 10 because I want to show you something else. Well, if you're going to put a border or something, choosing a color is an obvious desire. Choosing how width it is, how wide it is also pretty obvious. But this is the kind of border. Now this has to come first. What kind? I'm not expecting anyone to memorize any of them, but solid would be good. I want you to try a different one so you could see what they look like.
Double.
Double. And let's save it. Come back and refresh it. And there's some really weird ones, like that I never use. I'm just going to show you. This is an odd one. Yeah, I kind of like it though. So I want to just mention something. We tried solid and double. I just threw in a couple. But for those of you who are ready to learn more on your own, want to know what's the best way to do research. Let's say you wanted to know more about borders or border styles. I would always search W3 schools. What I would do is something like this. I'd get myself a tab and I would search W3S, only because it's faster than typing W3 schools. I'm interested in border styles, so I'll write border styles. And wouldn't you know it, a link shows up and it's showing me some borders, some cool stuff. Look, a round border. Different sides, fancy stuff. But right now we're starting simple. These are the main types. Dotted, dash, solid, double. I use solid a lot, and double on occasion. All right. You know what I want to do now, though? I got to admit, this is what I've been waiting for. I want to put a photo on it. So guys, I want to show you the simplest way first, and then just a slight upgrade, right? Now here's the rules. The simple approach requires one thing. The simplest approach requires that your photos are in the same folder as your page, right? So if you put them in a different folder, you're going to have to drag them out now. Your folder has to look like this. Here's my HTML pages. Here's my photos. This is the easiest way to make it work. Yes, Ying?
Yes.
Do you have a question? I saw you. I
Oh
thought you.
no, sorry.
No, that's all right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put, what did I say, photos? I meant to do music today, obviously, from these. But I'm going to go ahead and use the drummer anyway. So that photo is drummer.jpg. I want you to join me. Remember, we're working with the home page first. So let's get back to index.html. So one of the things with photos that becomes a question is how do you place them? How do you get them exactly where you want? And there's several steps to that. But for today, we're going to start at the beginning. If I wanted it to be the first thing, I'd put it above the links. If I want it between the links and the headline, then I'd put it underneath the links. I think today I want it under the headline. So could everybody make a line underneath your headline? These empty lines don't matter at all, just ignore them. We want to make some space though for some new code right under the headline on your homepage on index.html. And here's the way it looks. Oh, sorry, I lost my mind for a minute there. Sorry. Image. I'm on my line 12. Source equals. And am I getting this name right? Does that look right? I gotta look at my folder. Drummer.jpg. Yep, that's right. And we're gonna close it. This is the shortest code that would work. So IMG is image. This includes artwork and photos, etc. There's a space. Source is pretty much the same as href. It means go get it. And since it's in the correct folder, I just write the name of the image in quotes. Let's save it. Go back to your home page and refresh it. Not bad. Now I would like to squeeze in just a tiny bit more with the photo. but I do want to mention something that I don't like. Well, I guess I better ask you guys a question first. Did the photo show up?
Yeah.
So we're going to upgrade that because there's a few things that I don't really like about it. Like one, most designers put all the photos in a folder called images, right? And that folder lives in the root folder. So I would like to take care of that right away because it's better form. And I know a few of you are very, very hell-bent on doing this for real outside of school. So let's learn the real way to do it. Could you find your folder? Literally, physically go get it. Now here's the thing. This is the root. And every website has a root. But that doesn't mean that they can't have mini folders inside. Maybe one for all your videos. Maybe one for all the images. The images one is super common. So this is what I want you to do. In your folder, I want you to put a folder inside. The easiest way to do that on Windows is to right-click inside and choose New Folder. On a Mac, the easiest way is to hold down your Control key and click inside and choose New Folder. The Control key on a Mac is the same as right-clicking on Windows. So I'm going to choose New Folder. In the folder, right? It's a folder in a folder, right? So we're going to call it Images. Now that's got to be lowercase letters, Images. Now I'm not going to bother you with subfolders the rest of the semester, except for this. With other things, it's an option. You got one video, you don't really need a folder. But typically, you're going to have a lot of photos, and they want it organized. When you upload to the internet, this is going to make it very fast. To upload the photos, I take the whole folder and drop it online. So this is the right way. Now, the only thing is, you're going to have to put the drummer in there. I'm going to drag and drop. While we're at it, let's put the guitarist in there. And Mike. This would work for GIF files, .gif, animated or not. It's mostly for GIFs and JPEGs. Have you ever heard of PNG? It's another kind that will also work this way. Now the problem is, your photo might have just disappeared. Let's go to the browser and refresh it. Oops, missing photo icon. Now I knew that was going to happen, and I want to tell you what, I'm trying to make a point. All designers make an images folder and put the images in there. The only thing is, they write the code a little differently than we did, just a little differently. So, join me back in your code for the index page. We're talking about this line again, my line 12. Your code said, well, I want an image, and the source is here. Now, this actually means look in my root folder. And it worked when it was in the root. But once you put it in that little folder, it was like, what? You said go to my room. You didn't say go to my room in my closet, the second shelf. So this is how you fix it. This is called a path. Since it already knows how to get to the root folder, you just had to tell it what to look for. Oh, look for my images folder. Slash, then get me that photo. So if you misname the images folder, well, you could force this to work by either correcting the name of the folder itself or rewriting the wrong name. That would still work. So this is correct. We come back and we refresh it. A second here. Looks like your kindly tour guide made a mistake. Oh, I didn't save it. See, it's got a gray dot. I forgot to save my changes. There we go. So we are going to be reviewing this. I just want to say a couple quick things. If you want to put a photo on the other page, it's already in the correct place. It's in images in the root. So I want to do two things with you before we wrap it up. I want to do a little work on the other page called Photos, right? So join me right now. First in your browser, click that link and be profoundly disappointed. Oh, it's ugly. We never gave it access to the style sheet. So we need to fix that. It's also less interesting because it doesn't have a photo. So I want to fix that. Now, if you already know how to give it the style sheet, you could do it. If you don't, you only did it once before, do it with me. The magic is here. The home page index has this line in the body that told it about the style sheet. The other page doesn't have that. So I'm going to steal it. I'd like you to go to your index page, look in the head section, so that's up top, and highlight the whole line that says link. That attaches the style sheet. All you have to do is go to every other page and put it in the same place. Just remember to save it, unlike your teacher who forgot. This time I'm going to remember. So before we add the photo, let's see if that page updated or not. So the good news is all your web pages are going to share that style, whatever you do to your style sheet. The only rule is they all need this line.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So what if I have one page with like a huge title and this another one with a tiny title? Can I make the box fit both? Like, do I have to make two separate?
Those are all good questions. So the first answer I want to say is whatever you do, try to only have one style sheet. Like, don't make extra style sheets. It would work, but it gets very messy and it's a bad idea. So how else could she do it? What I typically do is I make sure that the box will fit all the headlines because it's a universal look that the audience will eventually like because they recognize it. The headline's always this size. So I would work with that limit. But I have to admit, that might not work for you. You might not like that idea. So what we could do is write code just for each box separately. That's a little bit more advanced. So I'd really rather not do it. I'm going to give you a little peek because you asked a good question. I'm going to ask you all to only do this when you really have to. Because the worst thing about web design is fixing broken things. So the cleaner the code, the happier the designer. This is not clean code, but I want to show you. If I wanted to change the size on one page, I'd find the H1 that bothered me, and I'd write this. So what's going on is I went into the headline and said, I want a style, but it's not on my style sheet, right? This is called a local style. It will only work in the one spot I put it. It's messy because I'm going to have hundreds of headlines. So if one of them breaks, I'll not remember to look here. I'm going to look at the style sheet. But when I have to, it looks like style equals quotes. So that's the format. And in it, you write the CSS you would need.
Okay.
It's a very good question. So this one here is now large, and I just have to remember that because the whole rest of the website's going to be this size. It was an excellent question. I want to add a photo. We have a couple minutes. Photos were easy. First thing you want to do is check the names, see which one you want. Now there's two photos in there. You could pick either one, two extras. I'm looking in the folder, and I've got Mike.jpg. I'm going to use that one. I want to remind you that the way we set it up on the home page was we put the photo right under the headline. So I want to do that for this page. Photos.html. So Go right underneath that headline. Remember, don't break this. Underneath the whole headline. And we write image space SRC. That means source. And we know a little bit more this time. We know we put all the photos in the subfolder, a little folder called images. Now I can name any folder, any photo that's in there. And I'm going to save it. And I'm going to come over here and refresh it. Did it work? So I want to tell you, like, the basics of getting the photos are really easy. But there's so many tricks that photos can do that get kind of deep. Like, get small for your phone. Right now, we made a photo that won't change size. Yes, Kevin?
So I'm having a problem actually finding the, so it's giving me the empty picture icon.
Oh, really? Let's take a look at it. But Kevin, I got to tell you something. I'm so jealous of your microphone.
Well, I thank you. Hopefully
one of these days, I'm going to have to ask you some questions about that.
Sure
Are you
thing.
a podcaster or something?
Kind of.
You got the voice for it, doesn't
Why,
he?
thank you.
Why, thank you.
Why, thank you.
Let's screen share together, okay? I want to see your code.
All right,
So
dope.
can I see both photos disappeared or just one of them?
Both of them.
Okay. So I'm going to turn off my screen sharing. Now you turn on, you click the green share screen button. It's going to give you a bunch of choices. Please choose the one that says screen.
Gotcha. And we're here.
I see the missing picture icon. We're on your photos page. Can I see the code for your photos page?
Sure, let me pull that. No, let me pull that here. Just pull that up and put that
Image.
that right there.
Perfect. Images.
Let me just move you guys.
So the way that file, you know, it's an odd thing about JPEGs. Sometimes they're spelled JPEG. Sometimes they're spelled JPG. So can you fix that one? Save it. Go to the browser and refresh it.
It's gonna be, hold on, I need I'll put you guys in the middle right there. Okay.
Yeah, we can't see ourselves, so you're cool with that. So you're on the photos page. Did you refresh the photos page?
Yeah, nothing.
Really?
David?
What's that?
Yeah, I think it's the so like when I look over here, it has like a different name. That's
Oh,
that's the
gosh.
way. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how that happened. That is kind of weird. Hey, are you? Can you? Where's your folder for today?
Right now I've been using the one that I
That one.
unzipped. Yeah.
All
So
right.
like I have the index and the photos, and
follow
those
you.
have been working fine.
So, all right. Can you open images for me again?
Gotcha.
I want you to change the name of the one called Mike. Maybe you could. There you go. And call it. Take all that stuff out. Exactly. .jpg. Yeah, you know, again, I got to get a little more used to Windows. I have more to say to you guys about that, but let's see if this works. And yeah, just leave that one. Let's get back to the browser and refresh it. Huh.
You should probably remove the .jpg because it's already established as a JPEG.
Yeah, you don't have to do the JPG.
On Windows, the type.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, take that out.
Hmm.
So it's definitely some kind of file type issue. Hey, Windows, everybody else in Windows, did anybody else see this weird __ business that he's getting?
No, I didn't.
Nope.
No.
No? Kevin, can I ask you a question? When you
Yeah.
open the zip, did you double click it?
When I double click, every time I double click a zip, it comes out. It opens like a new window. So I think I'm gonna show it right here.
I think
Desktop.
what you would, is that the zip?
Yeah, that's the zip. So this pops up every time.
Yeah, but look how the names are correct.
Yeah. And so when I when I go over here and let's say I'm going to,
Can you try something else with me first before
Sure
you get
thing.
there? Could you go back to, guys, Windows people, I want everybody to see this just to see, because I had a similar problem in one of the Windows labs at school. I'd like you not to double click it this time. I want you to right click it. I want to see the menu that shows up. What I'm looking for is unzip or what is 7-zip?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's usually
Okay,
the,
I want extract. That's what I'm looking for actually, extract files. All right, extract to the desktop. Is that okay with you?
yeah, it's fine.
Let's try that out. Click OK. Now, you're on the desktop there. There's the folder. Can you open it?
Hold on, let's change this to details. Boom. Okay,
So that looks better.
that looks
right?
a lot better,
If
yeah.
you want, you could, you know, if you wanted to use this folder later today, you could delete this index page and drag your HTML into this folder.
Wouldn't it be, hold on, would it
There's
be
probably
okay?
easier ways, you know, but I know you already wrote code today. So if you wanted those two, or you could drag the images into this, they have to be in one folder, basically.
Gotcha. How about I just take these two, put it to, no, I can't do that.
You could probably copy and paste them.
All right. Assets, put that.
So look, I know everybody has to leave in a minute. So can you turn off your screen share for a minute? And then I just want to say a little bit about this to Kevin and to everybody else. So, you know, what I really don't get is, so Windows students are having different things happen. And some of it is because of slightly different steps. Some of it's because of different Windows operating systems, Windows 10, Windows whatever, right? So I wrote a handout for a different class that had this problem the most. I'm gonna look it over and see if it's useful to you. Part of it was about the difference of extract on Windows or double clicking. See, on a Mac, there's no such thing. You just double click it, you know? So I'm gonna ask anyone who's having this problem, Kevin, you obviously know what you're doing, right? So what we have to look forward next time is to kind of extract it, I think, the first time instead of double clicking it. And then using that folder for the rest of the day, you should be fine. Does that make sense? Kevin, are you there?
Sorry, can you say it again?
I'm saying that your computer seemed to do better when we used extract instead of double clicking it.
Yeah.
Next time you're going to extract right away, right? And use that folder, and I predict we won't have any problems.
Yeah.
That's what I expect. Because in the very expensive animation lab at school, it's all Windows, which is odd. You know, a lot of my community's on Mac, but it's got all the other expensive equipment. So I had to learn all this stuff on the fly. And we were having very weird, similar problems. The Macs didn't have it, the Windows did, until I learned about extract. So the secret's probably going to be extract. So listen, I do have to say something to everybody because some of you have another class or somebody's waiting for you, and anyway, we're all tired. I've been working since early this morning. It's my second class today, and the other one was twice as long, so I'm kind of shot. You know, we're making a go of this, and I know that not everybody in here can be entirely satisfied because of all those issues we've had. You know, I bet you I probably lost a couple students who chose to withdraw. You know, and I wouldn't blame them. You know, if they asked me for advice, I don't know what I'd say. You know, I'm a teacher, you know, but if I was your uncle, I might say something different. I really don't know. I do know that the head of my department is serious, and he wants us all to have those Adobe products, and he wants us all to have a computer that's going to work. He's banking on remote access, fixing things for everybody. But even then, we're going to need access to the Adobe account. So I'm just a little stressed, and some of you might be a little stressed. You make your best choices. In the meantime, the only thing I can promise, because that's in my control, is I'll extend these deadlines as long as I need to. There's only been one homework. Learn however best you can learn until all the pieces fall in place, knowing that the deadlines will not affect your grade. Now, a couple people put the homework in early, a few days early. And 2 people wrote me that they couldn't get in. And Alex, have you looked since?
I
but
looked
it's were
before
not.
class, and I couldn't.
Have you tried it since class started?
No.
So if it doesn't work this time, I changed the permissions on that folder. It should work. I already got 1 or 2 homeworks in there.
It
So,
works now.
It
I
does work.
posted before class.
Great.
Yeah, it works for me too.
Great. So just,
Yeah, I posted before class.
man, are we learning a lot of stuff. You know, listen, I want to say, if anyone has to go, I took screenshots. I know you were here. It's going to be translated into attendance. If you have to go, you go. Not offended at all. Everybody worked hard. If you want to stick around for a couple minutes, I'm going to mention just a couple small things that might be interesting. You know, I want to mention something. So lately, I'm called a multimedia artist. And I love that because it gives me license to do whatever I want, as long as I could prove it. But 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was a bad thing. People are like, okay, are you a graphic designer or a musician? And typically you would lie if you were both. You'd be like, what are you? Oh, you're a graphic designer? Me too. The other person said they're a musician, like, me too. Because people didn't believe you could do both, but they were wrong. You could do lots of arts, you know? So the thing is, I set on this path that I didn't expect, becoming a genuine multimedia artist. But one of the reasons it worked, this is the part I want to share with you, is because when there's trouble, I try not to stop. I fall down and I get back up and I try something else. 3 days could go by and I'm still trying stuff. And then finally I got it, I write it down and I tell everybody. But next time, it looks like I knew some kind of magic. I'm like, no, I don't. I fell on my face. I learned that because I fell on my face and fixed it. So this time, this year, is a whole culture that has fallen on its face. I mean, I don't know about planet Earth, but the United States has fallen flat on its face. You know, I'm hoping that we get off the ground in November and continue to get off the ground all next year. You know, so I've got to say something. I'm not going to go picking on it politically right now. I'm tempted, but I'm not going to do that. I do have complaints about the politics right now. I said this to you once before. You know what? This is off class. I'm going to stop recording. Hang on 1 second. Goodbye, YouTube people. You guys stick around if you can.